Hello and welcome to episode 21 of Kerbal Space Endeavour. We have a new launch here, that is the Surveyor one for Kerbal. If you remember from long ago, and a couple of episodes ago, and 20 years ago actually, we had surveyors over Kerbal, Mun and Minmus, and even one already over Moho. But we are not as far as we have been, so here we are launching our first surveyor for Kerbal. And once we reach our targeted orbit of 250 kilometers, we drop our drive stage, even though it still had some fuel left, but we don't want the extra weight and we need the docking port available if need be. So we ditch it and get into a stable orbit. And once we do that, we have ScanSet up and running and discovering biomes and altimetry information for us. So then, a little construction time later, we launch a second Surveyor mission going to Mun. And yeah, we did a lot of better job this time, getting into an orbit of 250 kilometers. And once we reach our periaps, we then, as we just did around Kerbal, drop our drive stage into the planet because we need the docking port freed up for if we ever need to add additional things or change things or add new fuel or whatever. We don't know, we just have the possibility of doing things. So we just detach, use some RCS to get ourselves away from it, and then thrust prograde again to get up to a 250 kilometer orbit. Business as usual, and not that hard to say. So yeah, this will send us biome information and altimetry data back from Mun, and we know for future references where we should land, where we can build bases, and so forth and so forth. But it will take some time until the entire planet has been discovered. Now, I had a problem. I did forget to hit the recording button for Bill's return to Kerbal, so I can only show you guys of how he pretty much landed in the ocean fairly close to the Kerbal Space Center. And we were able to unlock new tech nodes, upgrade our base, and make it a lot more, better, faster, and so forth. But now we've reached a certain point, and I think it is good if I use the original recording of me to describe to you guys what's going on. So here we are, and we can pretty much continue our series from here on. The thing is, I did do a lot of things differently, so this is the point I think we can start going into normal episodes from now on. So the satellite network has been established over Mun, Kerbal, and Minmus. We have, as you can see here, SATCOM 1, SATCOM 2, and SATCOM 3. Then we have over Mun a 4 network. And over Minmus we also have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, we have been to Minmus and we have been to Mun with only one landing so far, but here we also have the surveyor tracking our home planet of Kerbal, and we have a surveyor over Mun. So the only place that is still missing a surveyor is Minmus. And that one is right now under construction and will be complete in 10 minutes already. The next thing that is happening is a Moho SATCOM and surveyor launch. If you remember, we already had a craft in orbit around Moho. If we could focus on it. And so we're gonna send a new one there, but we're gonna send a new craft there that doesn't have the liquid hydrogen engines, so we're just gonna use the mods that we already had or have at the moment. We also did have a craft on its way to Duna, and Duna would actually be not in such a bad place right now for a launch, but I really want to use the best window of opportunity So if we look at our Kerbal alarm clock, we have the window for Moho coming up in 91 days. And we have a window for Eve in 220 days. And our Duna mission will take another 2 years before it can happen. So according to these informations, we will plan future missions, and we're going to use the big time gaps between the first satellite missions and surveyor missions going to all of these planetary bodies to construct our base and pretty much build up our infrastructure in and around Kerbal. And after, I think if I do all missions to all of the planets at the same time, it would be boring. So we're gonna do them one after another. So missions will be Moho, Eve, Duna, and actually let's take a look and see when Dres will be happening. So let's go to transfer window. We want to go from Kerbal to Dres. That would be actually earlier. Now the question is, Dres is a really small planet. A really cool looking planet, I must add. And probably it would be wiser to send the satellite we're about to send to Dres instead of Moho. So actually, because we have enough time to construct a second satellite for Dres. Let's see. That is rather interesting. I didn't think about it. So let's put in another vehicle in our build list. And while this is building, we still have the third surveyor mission coming up, and that is the surveyor for Minmus. So yeah, same procedure as we had for Kerbal and Mun. We just aim towards it, get there, and then we need to change our orbit. But it's gonna take a while until we get there. So I thought, what can we use the time with? So I found a contract I took in a while ago that states we're supposed to fly over certain areas and discover them. So I said, okay, let's use the time and our spaceplane hangar that can construct additional things while our VAB is working on our mission for Dres, and therefore I starting designing things. And I wanted to show you guys this because Kerbal construction time gives you the ability to test things before you build them, so you don't have to wait 28 days to try a craft that doesn't fly and then everything explodes. So when I hit the launch button, and there we go, then I get the option to simulate the vessel, and it costs me a little bit of money, but then I pretty much am able to fly and use this thing for a certain amount of time. I can extend the times. I pretty much could also try simulating it endlessly, but that costs a lot more money, and yeah, things were exploding there because the design was very flawed. But yeah, that's what I wanted to show you guys, that Kerbal construction time is really awesome and gives you this good ability to test things before you really use them. And we try it again, and once again fly in the design and things explode. Well, after some testing we said, okay, it's gonna be done, let's put it into construction. And while this is constructing, we fast forward it and continue our way with our surveyor number 3 for Minmus. Once again, we do the same thing as always, putting it into a 250 kilometer orbit in a polar orbit, and when we reach periaps, we slow down significantly enough that we will crash into the planet, and once again ditch our drive stage to free up our docking port and leave dead weight behind. I know I could have leave those fuel tanks in orbit for whenever I could use them. If you remember, there was at one time I left a drive stage in orbit. I actually left a lander in orbit, and it saved one of our Kerbals. But this time I don't do these big kind of mistakes anymore, so things like that should not be necessary anymore. So yeah, we have uncovered more of Minmus. We start mapping it. We can also start sending back scientific data from this, so that helps, and I can do additional things. And of course, we are starting to look for carbonite to design a new place for our base. But here is the launch of our Dres mission. And here we have the separation stage where we can show you guys, or I can show you guys, the awesome craft that this thing is. We have two probes at the front. One will be the satellite that we will put in, I haven't really decided yet, but I will probably put it in a normal equatorial orbit. And then the second craft, that is the probe right here, yeah. That one will be put into a polar orbit to be the surveyor. So let's jump ahead here and show you guys more about this craft. Now the thing is, this has modular engines. Like, I can move the engines back and forth, so I don't need to turn the entire craft around. I did this because I was not sure how well this thing was going to spin around with the heavy fuel tank in the back. I mean, the heavy fuel tank will be ditched at the same way we did just around Mun and Minmus, but I didn't want to bring another SES module on board and add additional weight. So yeah, we have our Dres mission parked here in orbit, and we'll just have to wait until it is time for our departure. And meanwhile, while the next mission to the actual mission to Moho is under construction, I found out that I forgot something very important, and that is we do not have a long satellite dish in orbit yet. So I actually had to intervene our build time and build a new long-distance satellite that is going to orbit around Kerbal. As you can see, this one is a lot smaller than the old one that I've built. It is a lot lighter. It has 4 big satellites that should connect to Dres, Eve, Duna, and Moho, I hope. And yeah, we just pretty much bring it up into a normal orbit. And if you were wondering why it was a manned mission, it was completely unnecessary to be a manned mission, but I was too lazy to design a new launch stage, so therefore I used my launch stage from when we first brought our first satellites up to Kerbal. And here we have, once again, this drive stage coming back, even though we lost some parachutes and things broke off. So here comes the next interesting part. And that is our King Cobra. Yeah, I said before, earlier, we were designing this, and this is the final design. Now what I want to show you guys is all of B9 had some really nice stuff for the IV. It uses the GSI mod and does even a lot of more with it. You can even have like carbon lights on and a whole lot of other stuff you can turn on. It just looks so cool and gives you a really good feel for it. And scan set integration is still in there, and it is still slow as hell, but it's just the way it is. But I find it interesting that they're actually, the red dots that you see there are the anomalies that are marked. I mean, we know already what the anomalies are. They are the monoliths, the squad monoliths, but still, it's very nice that you can finally see that here. And I wasn't really sure what I was gonna show here, what kind of thing would be useful when you have like 3 terminals and we're just gonna have a basic flight to get to all of these different locations so we can complete our contract. The main design of this craft was to be as quick as possible, and so it's supposed to be quite capable of flying supersonic and make turns at very high speeds. But this was after the testing, the first real flight. The only testing I did with it is when I hit the test button, I was trying to see if it got off the runway, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, we are doing a launch in AVI view because it looks rather pretty. And not so pretty was the takeoff though, because I forgot to turn SCS on. As you can see now, it's turned on the bottom left corner of the screen. It even has these nice buttons that turn off and on. Just really, really well done and really nicely done. I just really love B9. I'm very, very happy that I was able to switch over from my old save to this new and upgraded and prettier version. I don't know yet if we will be able to upgrade to point 0.25, but we don't know when it comes out anyway. But I hope I don't have to mess around too much and it will work, and we get the space plane plus parts and more. Okay, well, we have a lot of stuff in here, and this entire Endeavour took about half an hour of flight, so I'm not gonna show you the entire flight for you guys, but I'm gonna show you all of this in time accelerated mode. At the beginning I was planning to do all of this in IVA view, but yeah, 30 minutes of watching me fly inside the plane would not be really cool. I mean, IVA missions are really interesting when you fly. Pretty much you start out on the launch pad and you launch, and suddenly you're on the moon, and then you get out, and then you get back in, and suddenly you're back at Kerbal, and it kind of gives it this real space feeling to it. But yeah, how about no? You guys don't see any interesting stuff. You don't see the design, and it gives you less of a view to see things. So if you really want to do things like that, I recommend you do them yourself. Unless all of you guys are like, yeah, you have to do an IVA mission, complete IVA, without ever zooming out or anything, and I'd be happy to do it, but unless you guys want it, I'm not gonna do it. Because I presume you guys do not want it. I did have enough fuel to complete the second contract, which required us to go to the North Pole, but I pretty much figured I was boring my viewers on Twitch at the moment, so I said, well, it was as good as it can get for a first test. Let's just fly back home and get to do other things. And yeah, that's pretty much what we did. The only interesting part I did about this is I was going to do an IVA landing, and I think it's quite hilarious of how I did. So let's switch back to old me. And we have some weird alarm sound. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, we're slowly descending. Whoa! 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 Come on. Nose down. Nose down. Nose down. Let's just brake. Wow! We made it! Yes! Successful! We can actually... I remember there was a button you can like get out or something. But it's okay. We made it back safe and sound. I call this a very successful mission, and we're rolling backwards for some reason. So yeah, this was a successful flight. So yeah, a lot of things coming up, and a lot of things have been done so far. We can now go back to normal episodes again. The series is back on track. And yeah, our VAB has the Moho mission under construction. The Dres mission is in orbit. And so the VAB is working at 100%, using up all our build points. Meaning, meanwhile, we can work things with the SPH or anything, so the time turns doesn't go to waste. So yeah, a lot of things coming up, And I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next episode. My name is Antilles.